How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be featuring the Sejong, the tier 8 Pan-Asian light cruiser that actually got buffed in this latest update by giving it, I think it was 3000 HP and just a little bit of torpedo power, even though torpedoes as a main form of damage, which I think these light cruisers pretty much are, just like the Japanese light cruisers, is not the most reliable. You kind of need the enemy team to be charging in for pretty much the entirety of the match in order for you to do well. Otherwise, if they're just running to the back of their spawn, which kind of happens more often than not, your match is going to be kind of super duper tragic because you're not really going to be able to do anything. Sejong, 15 kilometers for your main battery range. You do have to get kind of close, although your detection, which I also think was buffed in the latest update, does help a bit with getting closer to actually be able to torpedo. I've been messing with my builds a bit. I used to have like a full torpedo reload build utilizing the torp reload mod in the fourth slot, but I've kind of switched to the main battery reload mod just because, like I said, there's a lot of situations where enemy team just kind of goes to the back of the map, and then torpedoes just aren't going to reach because they're just running the whole time, which absolutely does kind of suck. Torpedoes show up, not sure what they're from. Could be a destroyer, could be the cruiser that was spotted that smoked up. Although I think Venezia, which was the cruiser that smoked up and is charging to B right now, so I have pretty high hopes that our torps that we launched into B cap have a chance to catch him. Only has 3 torpedoes per side, so there's something else. Enemy Takahashi finally gets spotted, and well, that kind of solves what it was. We also get spotted. Sejong does have a 32mm casemate, but that's about the best armor you have on this thing. Anything else is overmatched by nearly everything. I think you draw the line at 203mm heavy cruisers. Everything else, though, that's a higher caliber than that, will absolutely smash you. HE will absolutely hurt, especially a Laria that has sap. And I'd kind of rather not get dev struck by just pens or a Citadel that hits our, well, a sap shell that hits our Citadel, because that thing has more than enough pen on the sap to actually do that. So we kind of want to avoid that. Torpedoes that we launched into B do actually, in fact, connect with the Venezia, although they do run out before they reach the conch that was sitting just behind and beyond where the Venezia was getting hit. I think I do have the 3% fire chance skill in the second row of commander skills, and you technically could have threw on a torpedo skill that gave you, I believe, 8% more range, and had we had that, we probably could have hit the conch past the Venezia, which would have been nice since there were 2 sets. The first set definitely got there well before the Venezia did, so I don't think those would have been spotted, and those would have been the ones to hit the conch. And then the second set was the one that actually hit the Venezia. Kind of mind games here, trying to figure out what build would work best, especially considering I did kind of go more for a main gun build using the 2 fire chance skills that we have, and I think we're sitting at 14% fire chance on our guns, so it's not bad, but also not that great. But there's not really too much to expect out of 127mm guns. I mean, it's basically Atlanta, although better fire chance than Atlanta if we really think about it. Enemy Burger and Takahashi finally start pushing the flank. I don't really have a whole lot of help, as our whole team was basically in like 2 squares at the B cap, which was kind of bad. We were all alone on this flank trying to hold them, although they didn't really push in nearly quick enough, so that kind of gave me a little chance to leave our smoke and start torping. Friendly Minotaur starting to come back. I decide to smoke up, hoping that we have line of sight, or rather our Minotaur has line of sight and can keep spotting for us while we keep torpedoing, farming, trying to set fires. And I mean, ideally we would be able to reset and defend the cap, hoping that the Burger I guess, gets greedy and decides to shoot at the battleships pushing towards A, and then he'll just get spotted by smoke firing penalty. The problem will be that Takahashi, that is also still in the cap, who is still capping. Unless he actually gets spotted and we can reset him, they're going to flip, I think that's C cap. And then, well, we might be in some trouble as we are technically losing this match, even though we killed a couple of ships. Surprisingly though, the enemy destroyer, the Kleber, I don't know what he was doing. I mean, there was another Kleber in one of our other matches, in one of the streams, where he sailed on the border and then I guess tried to YOLO and ended up dying without killing anything, which was kind of funny. I think it was more or less the same exact thing. He capped A, charged straight to all 8 of our ships and ended up dying. I think if he just kept spotting and let the enemy team just farm over islands, and I mean, these guys pushing up could have created a pretty bad crossfire, although the Laria, the Conks, they weren't exactly in the best position because they were kind of reversing away. If they actually spread their team out, our team, I think, would have folded very quickly. But aside from the destroyer, A cap was pretty much left wide open, and after the Kleber died, I mean, there was nothing there to stop them from pushing that way. Our flank though, we held pretty well. Takahashi ended up getting spotted and we did reset him, and that saved us our cap, so we can still have point sticking to try and keep this as a close match, because they did have 2 caps while we had 1, and the Venezia that charged into B was pretty much just keeping that contested the entire time. One of the most tragic things about the Sejong though, and I guess technically most of the line, these 127mm guns don't get any sort of gimmick penetration, not even pushing it to 30 just so that we can actually damage things. This ship is pretty much purely fire, torpedo and fire damage based. And I mean, trying to rely solely on fires, I mean, I guess Colbert comes to mind. And if they're saying that Colbert needed to be buffed, I mean, I guess Sejong did get buffed, but not to its guns in any way, which is kind of interesting. Still tough to deal damage to most targets. That's why this ship definitely relies on battleships to push in, because then we can land torpedoes, which will deal a decent amount of damage. But considering the amount of torpedoes that we launched, the amount that we actually landed, I mean, torpedo hit rate, honestly, very low. So it's like hit or miss. You have to be lucky for battleships to push in. Hopefully they sail broadside and in a straight line, and then they eat torps, giving you the damage that you're kind of looking for in order to have fun. Takahashi trying to run away from a Minotaur, and Sejong, he is unable to get away. Almost did. Died right before he got to the island. Laria finally pushed in. He got to the cap after like 10 minutes of the battle. Had he pushed in sooner and created a crossfire with some of the other battleships that were still alive much earlier on, I think they would have had a much better chance. Temeraire, super low, trying to run away for his life. But we have so many teammates. I mean, no one's even died, which is kind of surprising considering everything was in 2 squares above B for most of that start of the match. And they had a huge opportunity to capitalize. I mean, I guess 2 potato teams, 1 potato team probably will get mashed first, is the thought, I guess. Laria now just sitting behind the island, gonna go for some boat strategies if we can. Not a lot of time left on the clock though. We're gonna try to get there as quickly as we can. We have torps on our right side. Hopefully we can get there and YOLO. I mean, I'm kind of gonna rely on the hope that he has AP loaded, and maybe he shoots our belt instead of our bow, dev striking us through the bow, because we can ricochet AP with that 32mm casemate. But it's a big if, so we're kind of hoping that we can get it done. But again, we don't have much time, and considering the travel time for these torpedoes, we kind of decided to launch them early. Probably could have waited a little bit, but with our Shema chasing behind the Laria, we kind of needed to just get them out, just so they can reach before the match ends. and I'd rather not have been dev struck. Luckily though, Laria is looking behind him instead of forward. Had he been looking forward, I think we would have been the ones to get shot, but that's not the case here. Enemy Laria eats one of our torps and a Shima torp goes down, and the game ends without anyone dying on our team, surprisingly. I don't know how our team won that. Everyone was in one square, gave up all of the map control, but then I guess the enemy team's downfall started when Kleber died, and then our team actually was able to spread out again. But realistically, shouldn't have happened that way in the first place. I think if Kleber doesn't YOLO in and throw his ship away, I think this game ends much differently. But Sejong, I think I'm not sure. The torpedoes being a huge form of damage, that second row skill, 3% fire or 8% more range, which, I mean, I guess technically could help us in situations where battleships are running away, but at the same time, 3% fire chance kind of does help a bit, especially if that's really the only thing we can do without overextending. Being spotted by a destroyer trying to chase the battleships in spawn, I don't know, kind of tough. Still reliant on enemies pushing in, which we were fortunate to have the Burger and Takahashi. But aside from that, I mean, you saw we couldn't really torp anything else aside from them, or we just got into positions early and got lucky with the Venezia. But yeah, I wish it would be more pen on the main guns, would be much nicer. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more, and share it with your friends, or leave a comment down below on other ships you want to see in the future. But anyway guys, till next time, aloha.